Welcome back to today's deep earnings analysis. Today, we're decoding Navitas Semiconductor's first quarter 2026 call. And look, our goal here is to separate the massive AI growth hype from the terrifying execution realities. I am super excited to walk you through this one because this quarter is literally a textbook case study in high-stakes corporate transitions. We are skipping the surface-level press releases today and using hard data to see exactly what is happening beneath the hood of Navitas 2.0.
But before we even touch the financials, we got to address the elephant in the room, Wall Street's absolute biggest fear right now. Will the brutal Silicon Carbide or SiC price war crush their margins? Or does their advanced grid technology make them bulletproof? Honestly, that's the billion-dollar question. Throughout this explainer, we're going to pit market expectations right up against the actual results and contrast those sharp analyst grillings with management's defenses. Stick around to the very end because the unique insight you'll walk away with today is understanding exactly how a company navigates completely killing off a legacy product line while trying to dominate the incredibly cutthroat AI infrastructure space. All right, so here's our roadmap to alpha for today's explainer. First, we'll do a deep data dive into the quarterly metrics. Second, we've got the analyst showdown where Wall Street goes on the attack. And third, we'll uncover the hidden supply chain risks that could, quite frankly, derail this whole thing. Okay, let's jump straight into Section 1, our deep data dive, and see exactly how Navitas is beating the street.
Looking closely at this data, you've got to hand it to them. Management actually delivered some serious substance this quarter. They posted $8.6 million in GAAP revenue. That's a solid 18% sequential bump, comfortably beating the high end of their previous guidance, which was hovering around that 7.3 million mark. And here's the truly impressive part, right? Despite heavy market pricing pressures, they managed to expand non-GAAP gross margins by 30 basis points to 39.0%. How'd they do it? Well, by intentionally tilting their product mix toward the high-power market. Add to that, their non-GAAP OPEX was capped on a really tight leash at $15 million, which led to an EPS beat of -4 cents compared to the expected -5. Oh, and they are pulling all of this off with a rock-solid balance sheet. We're talking $221 million in pure cash and zero debt.
But actually, scratch that. The most fascinating internal metric is this specific number right here, 50%. We're looking at a staggering 50% quarter-over-quarter revenue growth coming purely from their AI infrastructure segment, which wraps in both data centers and the grid. I mean, this practically proves that their Navitas 2.0 transformation is actively working. In fact, if you look at their high-power market revenue, it saw a 35% year-over-year increase, officially making it the company's absolute largest single source of revenue.
Now, you might be wondering, how do they plan to hit that single quarter break-even target, which management pegs in the high $30 million revenue range? Well, look at their dual technology moat. They're one of the very few suppliers out there offering both gallium nitride, or GaN, and silicon carbide. At the recent NVIDIA GTC event, they unveiled this wild AI architecture platform delivering 20 kilowatts, stepping down 800 volts to 6 volts with a staggering 97.5% peak efficiency. Because of that performance, this tech commands a massive premium. Check this out. They're capturing $5,000 to $8,000 per megawatt in AC/DC power supply units with silicon carbide, and then an incredible $10,000 to $15,000 per megawatt right inside the server rack using GaN. This dual tech approach basically allows them to target a total addressable market that's projected to hit $3.5 billion by 2030.
Right, let's move into Section 2, the analyst showdown. This is where the call got spicy, with Wall Street aggressively stress-testing management's optimistic AI narrative.
Baird's Tristan Gerrera kicked off the interrogation, and he wanted specifics. He demanded exact dollar content metrics to see if all this AI power consumption hype actually translates to tangible, real-world revenue. He basically asked, for that first-generation 800-volt architecture, exactly how much money are you extracting per megawatt?
CEO Chris Alexandre masterfully deflected this with cold, hard data, introducing what we'll call the nonlinear defense, and this brilliantly illustrates their growth engine. He pointed out that hyperscalers, like NVIDIA, are rapidly pushing power supplies from your standard 5 to 10 kilowatts all the way up to 18.5 and even 30 kilowatts. As this happens, silicon carbide content grows nonlinearly. So management's explicit formula here is that a 2x increase in power demand creates a 2.5x multiplier in component value. It's huge. Furthermore, he noted that those massive, old, inefficient 60 Hz grid transformers are literally choking AI development right now, which is actively driving demand for Navitas 2.3 to 3.3 kilovolt solid-state transformers. The power bottleneck isn't a problem for them.
It's their main revenue catalyst.
But Gurl wasn't quite done. He immediately followed up with Wall Street's biggest bear thesis. Everyone saw the catastrophic silicon carbide price crash across 2024 and 2025. So he directly questioned if this pricing bloodbath is going to completely annihilate Navitas' future margins, asking if there's any actual stability for their high-voltage products. Management firmly shut this down. And the crucial takeaway here is this. Navitas completely refuses to participate in the low-voltage electric vehicle and industrial price wars. They're just actively avoiding that bloodbath entirely. Instead, they are explicitly targeting the greater than 1.2 kilovolt high-voltage sector. Why? Because in the AI data center world, clients care about system-level power density and efficiency, which saves them massive amounts of money on cooling and space. That is way more important to them than saving a few pennies on a cheap component. Navitas is selling premium efficiency here, not cheap silicone.
Next up, Needham's Quinn Bolton cornered them on execution. You know Wall Street absolutely hates vague promises. Bolton demanded a hard timeline from board-level testing to final volume production. He wanted to know exactly when this highly anticipated 800-volt GaN architecture and Kyber rack design is actually going to turn into locked, tangible volume orders.
Well, the executive team didn't flinch. They laid out a really strict, verifiable two-stage timeline. Stage 1 sees volume production for SiC AC/DC power supplies ramping up by late 2024 into early 2025. Stage 2, though, is the much more complex step, taking 800 volts directly down to 50, 12, or 6 volts right inside the server cabinet using those GaN DC-DC systems. They said this will follow about 6 to 9 months later, meaning undeniable proof points and locked orders are expected to hit in the first and second quarters of 2025. So the clock is officially ticking. Let's move to our final chapter, Section 3, Hidden Supply Chain Risks, because beneath all these explosive AI metrics lie two severe operational headwinds that we absolutely must monitor.
This timeline right here brilliantly illustrates their biggest execution risk, a high-stakes transition of their GaN manufacturing away from TSMC over to a US-based GlobalFoundries 8-inch fab by 2027. Look, this is a massive logistical undertaking. To pull this off without disrupting their customers, Navitas is essentially forced to lock up capital right now, burning cash in 2024 to pre-build massive inventory buffers at TSMC. Managing these fab transition logistics through 2025 and 2026 without a single supply chain hiccup is a monumental task. There's literally zero room for error here.
Now combine that supply chain headache with the absolute death of their legacy business. Management was incredibly blunt about this on the call. Their traditional mobile and low-end consumer business will shrink to, quote, insignificant levels by late 2024. And sure, while shutting low-margin business is generally a good thing, it creates an extreme concentration risk. It means Navitas will soon have virtually 100% revenue exposure to the highly volatile AI and high-power capital expenditure cycle. If hyperscalers suddenly decide to pause their data center buildouts, Navitas no longer has a legacy smartphone business to fall back on. It is all in on AI. So we've unpacked the whole shebang, the incredible 50% AI growth, the nonlinear dollar content multipliers, and those massive supply chain risks looming on the horizon. Now, I want to hear your deep alpha down in the comments. Is management's aggressive shift away from TSMC over to GlobalFoundries a genius geopolitical hedge that's going to secure their future? Or is it a fatal supply chain mistake just waiting to happen? Let the debate begin. And hey, while you're down there, tell me exactly what high-stakes U.S. stock earnings call we should decode in our next explainer. Keep learning, keep analyzing, and I'll see you in the next one.